And the next composition is a piece that is transcribed. There's a little bit of history about the Baltimore Jazz Collective for those of you that have joined the evening with us. The Baltimore Jazz Collective is a true collective in that there is no leader here. We are all tasked with arranging compositions that were written by legendary Baltimore composers of various genres, and we are also charged to write new music for this ensemble. We've been doing that, as Uncle Toddy Bear, wherever he is, said, since 2019. There he is, over there. He just ate his burrito. Second burrito. Oh, okay. All right, there we go. And we're very fortunate to have Brinae Ali here. Yes, give it up for her. Bringing the wonderful art form of tap dance to the table here. And she's going to tell you about this composition that she transcribed for us.
Thank you. So this piece I entitled it For Baby, which is it's a montage of music that Baltimore legendary tap dancer named Baby Lawrence would dance to. The first movement, it's basically some rhythm changes that's on an album that he wrote, or that came out in like the mid-70s. Even though he passed, they released the album and he recorded it sometime in the 50s. And then we'll move into, I'll hit a little phrase that on his album he had a tap concerto, and at the end, like the last 8 bars is like the best. And then we go into another movement that I was inspired by, that he called An Afternoon of Percussion. There was a documentary that was on him in the late or the mid 80s called A Jazz Hooker. It's about 30 minutes long, but there's a clip of him dancing with a trio right in Fells Point, and it was probably for me the greatest clip I've ever seen, especially the trade between him and the drummer. So anyhow, this was my paying homage to Baby Lawrence Donald Jackson.
Brinae Ali for Baby. Give it up for her. Yes, yes. And now we are going to play a composition. We mentioned that there are several arrangements that we've done honoring legendary jazz composers. Not just jazz composers. We've actually covered the music of Drew Hill and Cisco. Stay tuned for that. Yeah. Our little take on the thong song, but
It went wrong.
it went wrong. But we got that coming out for you. And I want to turn the microphone over to EKG, we call him, Eric Kennedy the Great. Give it up for him as he tells you about this next composition.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. This next composition is an arrangement, and it's a tune by one of the great Baltimore saxophonist, composers, educator, and a hero of mine. His name is Gary Bartz. And this is the title song from his first album, and it's also his zodiac sign, and simply it's called Libra. So we hope you enjoy.
EKG, Eric Kennedy the Great, on the drums. Yes, y'all having a good time? Wonderful, wonderful. The next composition that we have brought to you is actually an arrangement that I've done. How many of you have ever heard of U.B. Blake? All right, that's a relatively decent showing. For those of you that have not, you should know that U.B. Blake is arguably one of the most important composers in music history. He wrote for several occasions, and he has delivered